Hi everyone. In this video we're going to discuss about the vital statistics and to be specific some measurements of mortality, that is the infant mortality rate. So by the title itself you may be clear that we are talking about the infants or the babies. So we shall define what is infant mortality rate as. Here, the infant mortality rate is defined as the chance of dying of a newly born infant within an year of its life under the given mortality conditions. So here we consider the newly born infants who are born alive and their chance of dying within an year of its life. So pertaining to some mortality conditions, we are looking for a chance of dying of a newly born infant within an year of its life. Okay, so that is what we call the infant mortality rate. And the infant, before going to the infant mortality rate or for the calculation of the infant mortality rate, we have to see or we have to go through some notations, and that's D naught Z. That is equal to the number of deaths among the children between the age group 0 and 1 among the residents of a region during the calendar year Z. So if we are considering a particular calendar year, say 2020 or 2019 or 2021 or something so we are interested in the number of deaths of children of age group 0 to 1 in that year, say 2020, of age group 0 to 1 among a particular residents of a region or among a community. So that is denoted by D naught of Z, where the Z is the year. And B naught of Z is denoted by the total number of live births reported in the same region within the same calendar year. Suppose it's 2020 and I'm interested in the total number of live births in 2020. So if I'm interested in the total number of live births in the year 2020, that may be a count that we may get from the hospitals and so, or by the registration of these births, etc. So we can define the infant mortality rate during the calendar year Z as IMZ, which is equal to D naught of Z divided by B naught of Z. That is, that value in the numerator is the number of deaths among the children of age group 0 to 1 among the residents of a region during the calendar year Z, and B naught of Z is the total number of live births in that calendar year. So you can see that here this mortality rate is somewhat different from other mortality rates that we have discussed or other death rates, such as the normal death rate, that is the normal death rate or the age specific death rate or something so. So it's all different. Wow. Because here in the numerator we consider the children of age group 0 to 1. So suppose a baby or a kid or a baby, to be specific, if a baby is born in December 2019 and he faces this death or he is in the age group of 0 to 1 in 2020 up to November 2020, isn't it? Yes. So a baby born in December of 2019, if that baby faces death or if that baby dies in 2020, that count will be taken in the numerator. But this B naught of Z, that is the denominator, counts only the live births that had happened in the year 2020. So in that case, you can see that in the numerator, there is a possibility for the number to be a larger number than the denominator. But in the previous death rates, like in the age-specific death rate or the normal death rate, there the denominator was a population and the numerator was the number of deaths in that population. So that all those cases were the probability rate. So that we shall discuss in the coming slides. Also, to say about some remarks about this infant mortality rate is that the infant mortality rate is somewhat similar, some may seem similar to the age-specific death rate at age 0. But it is somehow different because if we are considering the age-specific death rate at a particular age, then we have the definition, or we have the calculation scenario as in the numerator we have the number of deaths of the age group 0 to 1, number of deaths of the infants in that age group 0 to 1. Also, in that case of age-specific death rate, we have in the denominator the total number of people or total number of infants who are there, who was having a life, who are alive at that time. So, in that case, it is a probability rate. That is, we have the total number of births or in that year of those live births, and in the numerator we have all the number of deaths of the age group 0 to 1. But if we come to the infant mortality rate, we have already told in case of infant mortality rate, in the numerator we have the number of deaths among the children between the age group 0 to 1 during the calendar year Z. So, all those children who are facing the death of below the age 1 in that calendar year are counted in the numerator, which will be same as the age-specific death rate, where the numerator is same for both. But when we come to the denominator, for the age-specific death rate, the denominator is different, and for the infant mortality rate, the denominator is the total number of live births that had happened in the calendar year Z. So that is the difference between the age-specific death rate calculated at age 0 and the infant mortality rate. Now, why do we calculate the infant mortality rate? Because in case of infant mortality rate, that doesn't depend on the population census. That doesn't depend on the data of the population census. Therefore, that is an advantage of an infant mortality rate because this data we collect for the infant mortality rate is usually collected from hospitals or by the registration of the births, etc. And that is increasing. Now, as I have already told, this IMR is not a probability rate. The IMR is not a probability rate because in the numerator, there we consider the number of deaths of the children among 0 to 1 who are not necessarily born in calendar year Z, who need not be born in calendar year Z, but they can be they can face death in that calendar year. But in the denominator, we can see that it's the total number of live births. So the numerator and denominator doesn't have the same population. It's different. Therefore, this is not a probability rate. So, another importance of this infant mortality rate is that it is a very sensitive index of the health condition of a community. So, we have heard in Kerala and in India that the infant mortality rate is decreasing, but it is still there. So, this shows how much sensitive our health conditions are. So, regarding the sensitivity index of the health condition of a community, IMR is a very important factor. Now, one of the very serious drawback of IMR is the under-registration of live births, which is comparatively less in this era, where the live births are all being registered as it's either in the hospital or by somehow it is being registered. But even now in the rural areas, some of the live births are being gone unregistered. So that's a serious drawback of IMR, where we won't have data of the live births if it is not registered. So I hope this video was clear. This is on the infant mortality rate. Thank you.